We have something very special right now, humor for the health of it. And I must say that that's something that keeps me going in life, even on the radio show, is that I get to laugh till tears are rolling down my face at some point every single day of my life. And it does make me feel really good. Joel Weintraub is a humorous educator, which I love that. Can you go to college to be a humorous educator? He has managed to merge the formerly disparate worlds of comedy and education. He has used his professional comedy experience with his master's degree in exercise physiology and a bachelor's degree in health education. You have entertained and educated everything from nurses and dietitians, foster parents, and even burglar alarm installers. Wow, is that possibly the pinnacle of your career? Well, please help me welcome Joel Weintraub.
Have that? Have the mic?
Thank you. You want to use
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing today? I timed that wrong. You guys stopped clapping and there was like a 5-second break in between. But we're going to talk about stress. Anybody want to talk about stress today? Anybody have stress? No? Okay. So we're not even going to worry about it. Let's see. Exercise. You want to talk about exercise? Yeah? Glad you're saying yes to some of these, because otherwise we're done. How about reduced food cravings? Anybody have food craving? Let's see. You want to change from depression to happiness? Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll just stay depressed. How about humor? Relationships and humor. So to start off, talking about stress, by show of hands, how many of you have stress? Why, you're bragging. Because that's what we do with stress, isn't it? Stress is something you wish you didn't have. Then when you get together with your friends, you'll kill each other, trying to convince them you have more of it. I have more stress than you. No, you don't. I have a tougher job. You couldn't do my job. I wouldn't want your job. I have an ulcer. Mine's bleeding. I think we both lost. I just will Bob into intensive care. The problem is we associate stress with level of success. If you don't have stress, you feel like a failure. But the reality of it is, two people could have the same exact jobs. One person's whistling Dixie, the other's going, I'm going to kill them if they whistle Dixie just one more time. So it's not the amount of stress we have, but how we perceive that stress that affects our health. Remember, life used to be so simple? You used to turn on your TV, you used to get channels what?
2, 4, 5, 7, 9.
You're all from different areas? All right, ABC, CBS, NBC, sometimes PBS. Now you have cable. You don't even watch TV anymore. You just lie in bed at night, see how fast you can fly through those cable channels. Everybody has remote control. You ever lose your remote control? You'll walk around the entire house, but you won't get up to push the button. I'm betting you right now, half of you don't even know there's a button on that machine. You ever lying in bed at night, you're pushing the button on the remote control? You know you're out of batteries, but you're too lazy to get up. So you start opening up the remote control. You start rolling the batteries. Then you start moving your arm closer to the TV. Then you start walking closer to the TV. You're 2 inches from that little infrared light. I'm not pushing a button now. It's a principle of the thing. It's true we have so much responsibility. Not telling you to shirk your responsibility. You just might not want to accumulate new ones at such a rapid rate. Now, related to this would be your perception of stress. You ever go to work, you go, thank God it's Friday. You ever do that? Every Friday? Now, you know you have 8 more hours, but you're excited because the weekend's coming. Monday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're moping around. Your buddy's going, what's the matter, Sparky? It's Monday, but you're out of here in 2 hours. You're thinking, how can I have fun knowing I have 4 more days? What is your favorite day of the week? Sunday? Son of a very stable person. I'll tell you why in a few minutes. Anybody else? Favorite day? Favorite day? Saturday, very stable. No, nobody has Wednesday as a favorite day. Why Wednesday? Hump day. They told me to keep it clean around here. Why? What's so special about hump day? So Wednesday, like, wow, it's almost Friday. And then when Friday comes out, it's only Friday. I can't wait till next Wednesday when it's going to be Friday. See what we do? We time shift, don't we? We can't enjoy the moment because we're focused on what's going to come. How many of you love Saturday? I say the word Saturday, you're in heaven. I say the word Saturday, you eating an ice cream cone, and life couldn't be better. And nobody gets upset when they're eating an ice cream cone. You never see somebody walking around going, and another thing, pal. People love each other when they're eating ice cream. I think that's the problem with the Middle East. No ice cream. I think Iraq is just a Dairy Queen away from peace. So we love Saturday, but when Saturday comes, what do we end up doing? Working, trying to get things done. It's not that we love Saturday, it's more the perception and the hope and the promise of Saturday is truly what we love. It's like marriage. You think you like getting married. And then when you get married, you know what? Being engaged wasn't that bad. I think being engaged is like Friday. Something to look forward to. What's the worst day of the week? Sign of a very stable person. You hate the day you're supposed to hate. A better speaker could get you love Monday. I haven't figured that out yet. Tuesday? Why Tuesday? You thought this through very well, didn't you? Now, what's that?
It's never a holiday.
It's never a holiday? Tuesday.
Monday off, Friday off,
Oh, yeah. You guys want to dispute? This is like conservative and Republican going back and forth. I say Tuesday. I say Monday. Some people don't like Sunday. Anybody not like Sunday? And Sunday should be the best day. The toughest part about Sunday is trying to figure out which one of those 3 TV shows you want to watch Sunday night at 9 o'clock. One you watch, one you tape. The next day you go to work. Somebody says, you see that show? That's the one I missed. Then you go to bed, you wake up. Wake up every morning, you drive to work, you're alone in the car, it's a moment of solitude. You can listen to any radio station you want. And you pull into work, and this is where it starts. You look at the car, you look at the building. You look at the car, you look at the building. You go, I love you, car. Hate you, building. I'll miss you, car. Despise you, building. Car, I'm going to go in and pay for you now. You walk into the building, it's like the walk of the living dead. But it's not that bad. You say hello to receptionists, people in the hallway. It's like you're at a party, but you're mingling. And at 5 o'clock at night, you get to do something that independently wealthy people can't do. You get to leave the building. Is there a bigger high than this or what? You go, I am out of here. I am free. Now, if I came from another planet, I'd be confused. People walk into the building, the walk of the living dead. They walk out, they go, I am free. I'd be thinking, there's something going on in that building. I want what's in that happy building. It's all perception of stress. We make ourselves miserable at work. On your desks, what do you have pictures of? Kids, family, friends, a Bermuda vacation. I'd be miserable too compared to where I could be. That doesn't happen to me. On my desk, I have a picture of Camden, New Jersey. And my ex-girlfriend and I fighting. I am so glad to be at work at that moment. Now, related to this would be your type A and type B personalities. Type A personality is somebody who's competitive, aggressive, they're hostile. They make inefficient use of time. You've seen these people. When you're early for work and they're stuck behind you in a traffic jam, trying to force you off the side of the road, you look in your rearview mirror, all you see is... They look like referees at a penalty-prone football game. You've been a type A personality when you're late for work and you hate all the other drivers of the road because they follow the rules of the road and that makes you mad. I was like the other day, I'm like, go through the yellow light. What are you, crazy? And then I realized he's not crazy. I'm crazy. He's on time. He's thinking, not only am I early for work, I get to piss this guy off. I was driving here today and I was running late. And what's the name of the street in front here? What is it? Oh, it's really called Neighborhood? MapQuest said make a left on Neighborhood. I'm like, what neighborhood? There's really a street named Neighborhood? Get out of here. I got to tell MapQuest you're okay. I'm driving down Neighborhood, and this guy in front of me is traveling 25 miles an hour. So I did what any other self-respecting citizen would do. I cut in front of him, slowed down to 20 miles an hour. I look in my rearview mirror. He slowed down to 15. I slowed down to 10. I was late coming here. He had no idea what I was doing. Now, a lot of times you take a stress management course and they say you should learn to be happy for the moment. I say you have to plan. I can imagine driving here today going, oh, great. I got 20 miles to go and 2 minutes to do it in. I am so glad I learned to smile. Well, smiling does help. What it does is it cuts off the blood supply to the brain. It's not what you think. It cools the brain. It's true. They did studies with subjects. They blew cold air up their nostrils. It made them happy. I just got this image. You going home tonight going, honey, can you humor me? Can you take these 2 straws, stick them up my nostrils, and puff up my nose? Well, smiling makes you happy. Isn't it almost impossible to be miserable when you're smiling? Do you ever see somebody walking around going, hi, how you doing? Hi, how you been? How are you? I am so depressed right now. I just lost my job. Girlfriend left. I have nothing to live for. But you never see anybody walking around like, how you doing? I am so excited right now. Just married the woman of my dreams. Got the job I always wanted. This morning I got a letter in the mail from the Publishers Clearinghouse. I may already be a $1 million winner. So next time your house burns down, you lose your job, just walk around with a big smile on your face. They'll put you away, but you'll be the happiest person in the home. We get upset over the smallest things, don't we? By show of hands, how many of you feel like you're getting old? I asked a group of 20-year-olds last week. Everybody raised their hands. I asked a group of 90-year-olds. Not one person raised their hands. I said, why aren't you raising your hands? And a woman said, we're too tired to raise our hands. Well, after the program, a woman came up to me. She said, I'm upset. I said, why? She said, I'm getting old. Getting up there in years. I said, what is a year? A year is nothing more than the amount of time it takes for the earth to revolve around the sun. I said, you're not getting older. You're just traveling a lot. She actually said to me, there are 4 stages in life. Young age, middle age, old age, and she said she's at the furniture age. I said, what's the furniture age? She said, that's when your chest falls into your drawers. You'll never look at furniture the same way again, will you? If somebody next to you is younger than 30, explain to them what drawers are. And you guys have road rage out here up in New York? You know what's amazing? Somebody does something to us on the highway. These are potentially dangerous people. We could let them go off into their own world, but we don't do that, do we? We have to pull them back into our lives. It's very irrational behavior. I pulled into the parking lot over here. Some guy came up to me. He said, I'm upset. I said, what's the matter? He said, I was driving down the thruway, and some guy gave me the finger. I said, he gave you the finger? I said, well, what did he do with the finger? He hit you in the head with the finger? Poke in the eyes with the finger? He said, no, man, he just gave me the finger. I said, well, where's the finger now? He said, it's in his hand. I said, what's it doing in his hand? He didn't actually give me the finger. He showed me the finger. I said, you're getting upset because he showed you the finger? I said, next time somebody shows you the finger, just go, how you doing? I see your finger. And I raise you an elbow. Next time you're driving down the street, somebody gives you an elbow, you go, did you take Joel's seminar? Now, one of the reasons you might be here is to learn how to cope with stress. And how do most of us cope with stress? Eat is one. Very good. Anything else? Exercise. Sleep is another. Drinking. Okay, that meeting's actually next week, but I want to thank you for being early. Yeah, it's out of habit, isn't it? You react to stress a certain way, and after a while, it's a permanent part of your behavior. My dad's a pacer. Walks back and forth on the rugs every night. Mom couldn't stop him. Did the next best thing. Put a vacuum cleaner in his hands. Worked great. Next day, the neighbors called him up. Want to know if he could become upset over there. Dad's losing him, but the house is really starting to look good. Now, one way to reduce stress is to exercise. And by show of hands, how many of you do exercise? How many of you exercised in the past? How many of you exercised in the past few years? How many of you, this is the most you've exercised in a while? If you need incentive to work out, they did a study. They found those people that worked out about 2-3 hours a week actually lived about 1 to 2 years longer. Of course, most of that time was pretty much spent working out, so you're pretty much breaking even with your time. How many of you need more energy in the morning? Who needs more energy? And the rest are what? Too tired to raise your hands? You ever notice every time you hit that snooze alarm, that's one less thing you're doing that day? I'm not going to walk the dog. I don't even have a dog. And you realize you have 20 minutes to get to work. Now you have energy. Some people think they can eat more when they exercise. Do you ever do that? Walk around the block once? Think you can treat yourself to a hot fudge sundae? My aunt does that. Sits around the dining room table on Thanksgiving for 6-7 hours going, oh, I'm stuffed. Think I'll go outside and walk it off. Yeah, call me when you get to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. By show of hands, how many of you have older parents? Well, if they're parents, I'm sure they're older. You ever say to them you should exercise? And they say, I don't have time. You have kids? Exercise. They say, I don't have time. And you say, you watch TV, don't you? I would never take away anybody's TV time, but say to them, do you like commercials? At the top of the hour, there's a 2-minute commercial. At the bottom of the hour, there's a 2-minute commercial. And every 8 minutes, there's a 1-minute commercial. There's only 21 minutes of programming and a half an hour of television. So say to them, at the top of the hour, set your stopwatch. Take a 1-minute walk down the block and come back. 8 minutes after the hour, take a 30-second walk and come back. And if you watch enough television, you're really going to start getting in good shape. Friends will see, they go, you look pretty good. I've been watching a miniseries. I feel fantastic. Just one. What's the minimum amount of exercise you need to improve your health? Yeah, the government recently said 30 minutes for your health, hour to maintain your weight, hour and a half to lose weight. And then also it's every 2 hours you got to walk around so you don't get that deep vein thrombosis, so you can keep your blood sugar down, So it's not just the exercise, it's the act of not sitting as much. But the minimum amount of exercise you need to improve your health, you didn't hear this anywhere today, you didn't read a newspaper, didn't read on the internet because I made it up. After I tell you, you'll understand. Everybody agree 1 minute? And to prove this to you, you ever visit a relative in a hospital? Hey, how's Uncle Charlie doing? He's walking down the hallway by himself. Isn't it true that 1 minute of exercise for somebody who's sitting, that's in bed, is more important than you going from 30 minutes to 40 minutes on a Stairmaster? But you never hear about it because it's not measurable. You can't see cholesterol and triglyceride changes. But you notice, anybody been on an airplane lately? You will die to get up just to walk to the bathroom, even if you don't have to go. Oh, good, I got 30 seconds of walking in. That made all the difference right there. So 1 minute. So what you do, anybody have spouses that they don't like to move? Right? Anybody have spouses like that? Not you, right? You know. That's your spouse, right? Oh, good. Because how old's your daughter? 3. Is that her face? Where's her face? Oh, her head's down. I thought she had a green face. It was her hat. Her head was down like this the whole time. If you know somebody that's really lazy, what you do is say, get in push-up position and gently lower yourself to the ground. Stay there. I'll pick you up in 2 days. 2 days later, push yourself up. 1 minute makes a world difference. Anybody join a gym within the last year? 5 years? 10, 20 years. Anybody join a gym? You guys have gyms around here? When you joined a gym recently, right? When you joined a gym, now you probably exercised before, but did they say you should exercise, do aerobic work half an hour? You know why they want you to start with a half an hour? Because they don't want you showing up until next year when it's time to pay again. Because I asked the manager, I said, how do you guys make any money? Because you have a $10 gym around here? $10. I said, how do you make money off of $10? He said, we have 5,000 members. I said, 5,000 members? I said, you've got 4 bikes, and whenever I come here, they're always open. He said, see, that's how we're successful. He said, when it was $50, everybody showed up. $10, everybody's philosophy is, you know what, for $120 a year, it's worth it, even if I never go. They don't want you showing up. If they did, they would say, well, how many days before something becomes a habit? 21, 30, feel like I'm at an auction. 15, yeah, can you imagine that? Somebody walking around going, oh, I'm exercising, it's not a habit. How long are you doing it? 20 days. Tomorrow is your day. Now, it's anywhere from 15, 21, 30, 60, but can you instantly change behavior? How many say you can instantly change behavior? How many say you can't instantly change behavior? I have a friend of mine who was really, really heavy in high school, and I went over his house one day. He was sitting on his porch, and he had a beer in one hand, cigarette in the other, pizza on his lap, and his cell phone went off. He didn't know what to give up first. And he would never move. Then he sees his buddy from high school who was as big as him. He starts jogging by, looking pretty good. He's still not motivated to move. Then my buddy's wife leaves him, and she starts jogging. Still doesn't motivate him. Then one day, my buddy's sitting on the porch, beer in one hand, cigarette in the other, pizza on his lap, and his buddy is jogging by with his ex-wife. Then he said, I think I better start moving. Everybody, we never know what's going to change and what's going to just instantly make that move. So if you have spouses, you have kids, you can't tell them what to do. It doesn't work, right? Everybody agree? If it ever worked, raise your hand. Never worked, right? It worked. You said to somebody, do something, and they did it. What'd you tell them to do? Eat ice cream? Really? What did you tell them to do? It didn't work, right? It never works. So what you do is you go, use motivational interviewing. You go, so what do you want to do? You want to start moving? I'm moving. You want to move? And then you say, well, what do you think? What would you like to do? If you have kids, what do you think you'd like to do? And just play around. You never know. You want to work on it together. You don't want to tell them what to do. You want to figure out what you can do together. But they don't even know. Isn't it true? If you don't move, you don't even know. But some days it just hits you. I was telling the group earlier, anybody here with the blood pressure class I did earlier? Some people came back. And I was talking to your group about being in the right river, right flow. One example, sometimes I'm on the road a lot, and if I'm on the road and if I'm down south, I was in Louisiana, and anybody been to Louisiana, New Orleans? And I had, what was it called, beignets, which are donuts. They had jambalaya, which is basically fat. They had gumbo, which is basically fat. They have different forms of fat. And I walked out, I said, I felt really sick, and I said, I feel bad abandoning you, Louisianians. I'm going back north. Once you move into somebody's river of flow, you almost lost the game, didn't you? You have to get back to your own life and kind of cordon off your own world. So in other words, if you hang out with somebody that's not in shape, there's a good chance you won't be in shape. You notice that, right? Because you'll eat the way they eat. So you want to figure out ways where you can slowly get a healthy lifestyle in. So maybe say, I think I'll take broccoli, but I'm never not going to have broccoli. Like once you make the commitment, you got to stay with it. Or you can switch it for maybe cauliflower or kale. Find another way of mixing and matching. But don't just say, I'm going to stop eating certain foods, because it won't work, right? You got to go, I'm just going to slowly add maybe oatmeal into my diet, maybe beans, maybe Greek yogurt. Do it slowly, and before you know it, you won't have room for the other things that you have. Everybody agree? 1 minute, and then next day 2 minutes and 3 minutes, and work your way up slowly. Food cravings. Anybody have food cravings during the day? What time are your food cravings? 3 o'clock is a very popular time for craving. Everybody agree? And how do you stop your craving? Eat. You're right. After about 2,000 calories, no more craving. Now, anybody here on cocaine? How about ice cream? Chocolate? All right. Are you more excited when you have a Cold Stone Creamery around here? You're more excited when you pull into the lot, when you open up the door, when you're waiting in line? How about when you're next? Don't you love being next? You're a celebrity when you're next. People start talking about you when you're next. They go, who's next? That guy right over there. Are you more excited when you take the first lick or the second lick? First lick, right? You take the first lick and you look at the person you're with, you go, you want some? And they say, sure. And what do you mean, sure? I didn't ask to be nice. I asked because, to tell you the truth, I'm not too thrilled with mine, and yours is starting to look pretty good. Next time I get an ice cream, I'm going with somebody who can share. What happens after you take that first lick? When you first take that first lick, what's driving you? Do you ever hear of dopamine and the nucleus accumbens? They used to call it the pleasure chemical, or the pleasure hormone. But what happens is it's really pleasure, because after you take the first lick, your dopamine drops. Then you need another lick. Then your dopamine drops. Then you got to put fudge on it. Then your dopamine drops. So you keep doing this over and over again, as opposed to going, you know what? I got to get some good, healthy food. I was telling the group earlier about the green ice cream that I make. It's not that bad. You take spinach, you take carrots, you take almond milk and put in an ice cube tray. Take some frozen bananas and some ice. You blend it up with a little bit of vanilla protein powder for flavor, maybe some almonds, pistachio nuts, and is it good? And then every day you have this. It's so filling, your dopamine level will go up, and then it'll drop. You'll want more, but you'll be satisfied towards the end. This other food, the ice cream, doesn't satisfy you, does it? Because you just always want more. So I'm going to give you a quick story, and it's all going to make sense towards the end. Anybody rollerblade about 10 years ago was pretty popular? Rollerblade? Nobody? 20 years ago? Any roller skate? Ice skate? Skate on thin ice? Anybody? I was rollerblading, and I was going out with this woman at the time, and I said, I'm going to go to 7-Eleven and get something to eat. Would you like something to eat? Now, where are the married guys here? Married guys? I didn't say anything wrong yet, right? I walked out 5 minutes later, roll in one hand, turkey in the other. I stuck the turkey in the roll. I start eating. She gets mad at me. Why'd she get mad at me? Well, didn't I say I'm getting something to eat? Would you like some? What I found out about 2 months later when she started talking to me again, she said, I thought you were getting a snack. That's a meal. Now, how many calories in a cookie, cake, or candy? Could be anywhere from about 400 calories, give or take, right? How many calories in a 200-calorie roll? About 200 calories. How many calories? About 4 ounces of turkey? About 200 calories. So 400 calories versus 400 calories. Married guys, you know what I say to her now? I'm going into 7-Eleven to get 400 calories. Would you like 400 calories? See, what we do in America is we have a preconceived notion. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, snack. It used to be pretzels. You know, to play with your blood sugar. Then we had nuts. That was good, but you have one nut, another nut. You don't know when to stop. So it's a good way to end a meal, but if you have it during the day, you'll just keep eating them like jelly beans after a while. And then what happens is you get your food craving at 3 o'clock. It's too late, isn't it? Because your blood sugar's already dropped. Dopamine's gone into the nucleus accumbens. It's driving you to eat. So next time you get a craving at 3, you know what you do? About 2 o'clock, 2:30, that's when you have a little mini meal. Not just a snack, because a snack, there's no ending to a snack, is there? Snack nobody says, I'm done my snack. They go, ooh, what's next? But when you have a little mini sandwich, maybe sprouted bread with turkey, maybe take some quinoa, put some fish in there, some vegetables. Now you go, I'm not going to have another one. I'm not going to have another sandwich. I'm not going to have another little mini platter here. Can that work for everybody? Stress reduction techniques. We respond to stress automatically, and we have to come up with intermediate responses to stress. Now, give an example. We respond to stress automatically. Give an example. I need somebody with a big booming voice who can spell 3- and 4-letter words. Who's got a big booming voice? Big booming voice? You want to? She pointing to you? Isn't it great having a friend like this? You're the kind of person, you're walking down the street, somebody says, give me your money. You go, she just got paid today. You want to come up? I can't hear your friend, but I can hear you really well. Why don't you come up? What's your name? What's your name? Come on. The one that's pointing. Come on up. Blue shirt. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Come on. Oh, I was going after your friend. That's good. Good. Give her a hand. Thanks very much. What's your name? Renata. Renata, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Just answer them as quickly and loudly as possible. Spell hop.
H-O-P.
Mop.
M-O-P.
Pop.
P-O-P.
What are you doing when you come to a green light?
Stop.
Hit a green light? That's why there's traffic right outside here? Thanks a lot. Give her a hand. Thanks, Renata. I have a confession to make. Renata and I did this earlier, and she got it right, and I said, Renata, it's a lot funnier if you get it wrong. So thanks for working with me. So we respond to stress automatically, and we have to come up with intermediate responses to stress. Now, most of you are sitting pretty straight, but you ever go to a concert or a show, your chair is turned to the side, and you want to turn your chair, but you're embarrassed. Like somebody's going to say, Charlie, see that guy? Just turned his chair a quarter of an inch. What's wrong with him? So you'd rather sit like this the entire evening. Afterwards, people say, how was the show? It's pretty good. There's something wrong with your neck? Just turn your chair forward. Everything should be at a 90-degree angle. Your ankle joint, your knee joint, your hip joint. You ever driving down the street, you can't see 50 feet in front of you, so you do this amazing maneuver? Look, honey, I can see now. Want to see Philadelphia? How about Maryland? Just move your chair forward. Everything should be at a 90-degree angle. Then we have progressive muscle relaxation. We make it worse before we make it better. How many of you have children at home? So you know what stress is. How many of you don't have children at home? You think you know what stress is. So what we should do is take your kids, bring them to your house, drive you crazy for 5 minutes. You go, thanks for the 5-minute break. You go, I'm not having any more kids. So what I'd like you to do just from sitting here, your neck might be a little stiff. Just take your hands, put them behind your head, and push back. Now, don't do this if you have high blood pressure, fibromyalgia, arthritis, bursitis, tendinitis, or if there are attorneys in your family. Push back, feel that tension in your neck. We're making it worse before we make it better. And release. Feel pretty good? Now the front hurts? Now take your hands, put them on your forehead. Push down, feel that tension in your neck, making it worse before we make it. Don't fake it either. Don't go, he can't see, I'm not doing anything. Keep pushing and release. Feel pretty good? Loose? Relaxed? Good? No? You know, if you're around when television evangelism was popular, Jim Bakker never would have made it. You go, you healed? No. People behind you go, neither way, you're ripping us off. Remember Jimmy went crazy, middle of the night, woke up, thought he saw a tarantula? Turned out to be Tammy Faye's eyelash. Somebody next to you is younger than 30, explain to them who Tammy Faye was. Then we have progressive muscle relaxation or autogenic training. You ever feel tension in your shoulder? Oh, let me tell you what that, let's do the left arm. Do the left arm. Push out to the side. Push out to the side. Feel that tension in your shoulder, making it worse before we make it better, and release. Feel pretty good? You feel the difference between the two sides? Feel like you have to do the other side? And we're not going to do it. I'm going to find out who's compulsive. I got to do the other side now. Now take your left hand, put on the right wrist, push out to the side, feel that tension in your shoulder, making it worse before we make it better, and release. And you do this throughout your entire body. Then we have autogenic training. Do you ever feel tension in your shoulder? You try to will it away, you make it worse? You ever try to lose 5 pounds, you put on 10? Then you take a ceramic course, you have a funny looking vase, but you lost 2 or 3 pounds. Goes in the theory that you can't do 2 things at the same time. Even though growing up you told your parents you could study and watch television at the same time. Next day the teacher said, who discovered America? Gilligan. If you're under 40, Doogie Howser. Then we have visual imagery. I'll say, picture yourself lying on the beach. Feel the breeze blow, smell the fresh air, listen for the birds. And it works. Tried this on lifeguards. It wasn't successful. Then we said, picture yourself at the Clifford Middle School, wherever we are. And they went out just like that. Then we have auto-hypnosis. Just say to yourself, I am relaxed. I am relaxed. Goes in that theory of positive suggestion. Just say to yourself, love, love. Makes you smile, doesn't it? Love, love, love. You had a fight with somebody this morning, didn't you? Yeah, right, I love them. This will be easy for you. Now say hate, hate. Now she smiles. Now for the rest of you, I want you to put a circle and a square. I want you to smile and say hate, hate, hate. You feel like a mass murderer, don't you? I'm starting to understand, Manson. So just from smiling, you make yourself feel happy. So can we turn off the lights? Is there a light switch around here somewhere? Anybody have a BB gun? What I'd like you to do is just uncross your legs, close your eyes, and if you're not too familiar with the person next to you, just don't make a big deal about this. Just very gradually, don't make a big deal. Very gradually move your hands closer to your pocketbook. Just don't make a big deal about it. Close your eyes and concentrate on your breathing. Is your breathing rate fast or is it slow? Are you taking deep breaths or are they shallow? Notice how your stomach rises and falls with each breath. Or note the cool flow of air into your nose and the warm flow out again. Notice what it's like to be perfectly relaxed, yet alert and aware. Now I'd like you to press your lips together. Notice the increase in tension as your lips begin to quiver and slowly release the tension in your lips. Now wrinkle your face, making the ugliest face you can. Oh, there are limits. Now you know why I wanted the lights out. And release this tension. Notice how relaxed and loose your facial muscles feel. Now bring your shoulders up in a tight shrugging motion. Feel the tension being generated in the shoulder muscles. Drop your arms, letting your arms just lie by your side. And you'll know you're in a deep sleep if you're imagining somebody on the phone right now. And somebody's sitting next to her. And now clench your fist. Feel the tension building in the fingers, the hands, and the forearms. Release this tension, allowing your fingers to return to its relaxed state. Now tighten your thighs, straighten your legs. Feel the tension building just above the knees. Release this tension, letting heaviness and warmth take over. Now flex your feet, stretching your toes as far back toward your head as possible. Feel the tension building along the shins. Release this tension, letting the tension just flow through your toes. She's calling back. Now picture your most beautiful spot, the mountains, the beach, and relax there. Feel the breeze blow, smell the fresh air, listen for the birds. Look out for the birds. Now picture a sandy beach with the waves rolling back and forth. Then begin to breathe with the waves. Slowly inhale as the waves roll in. Exhale as the waves roll away. Enjoy your mind vacation. And relax. Let the heaviness and the warmth take over. Your mind is quiet and still. Your thoughts are flowing and effortless. You are calm, content, and in control. Now as I count 1, you'll get ready to get up. On 2, you'll inhale. 3, you'll exhale. Slowly open your eyes. 1, get ready to get up. 2, inhale. 3, exhale. Slowly open your eyes, holding on to that warm, relaxed, comfortable feeling. Can you turn the lights on again, please? Uh-oh, we're in trouble. Uh-oh. I think the person with the lights fell asleep. Anybody have a candle? Turn on your cell phones. If we get enough of them, we could generate enough electricity. Is there a light switch? No? Oh, there it is. Hey, it's in the dark. You can't see where the switch is. Where's that person that was talking on the phone? You should have been sleeping, young lady. You missed your nap. Who's the person next to you? Wasn't there somebody next to you? Oh, that was right there. Okay, good. Who called? Your daughter-in-law? She always call when you're sleeping? That was like perfect timing, wasn't it? Did those stress reduction techniques work? They work for 90% of the population, so if it didn't work, you might want to walk, run, bike, swim, do something athletic, get your body temperature to rise, then it drops, and it lulls you off to sleep and relaxation. For those of you it did work, how did it work? Did I tell you to control your breathing? Nobody can tell you what to do. Anybody ever say to you, you should relax? Well, thanks. I never really thought about that. That's a great idea. All I said was concentrate on your breathing. Is your breathing rate fast or is it slow? If your breathing rate was fast, what happened? Slow down. If it was slow, what happened? Sped up. You regressed toward the mean. Did you pay attention to the part when I said notice the cool flow of air into your nose and the warm flow out again? Never really noticed that before, did you? Next time you're at a party, things are kind of slow. Go, hey, Bill, get a load of this. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. You won't be invited back. Be a lot of fun for a few minutes. And was the ocean relaxing to you? Why is the ocean so relaxing? The sound, you shoo, shoo. You know, I live in Philadelphia. It's about 60 miles away from the ocean. And I invite friends over for a barbecue, and they hear shoo, shoo. They go, what's that? And I go, it's the ocean. They say, don't you live 60 miles away? I said, yeah, but on a clear day, you can hear the ocean. It's 95. Going right there, right down. Any other reason why the ocean's relaxing? It's not your job to control the tide. If it was your job to control the tide, that'd be a very stress-inducing job. Your boss will come up to you around 5 o'clock. Where's the tide? Right there. Where should it be? Back here? You'd be trying to bounce the moon off the water. But we finally realized something enormous like the tide we can't control, and that's pretty humbling, isn't it? Because we always think we can do somebody else's job better. We're always going up to people going, you know what you should do? Let me tell you what you should do. You know what they found out? The average person should somebody 10 times a day. 10 times a day, you say to somebody, you know what you should do. You live, at the end of the year, that's 3,650 times you've said to somebody, you know what you should do. You live 100 years. That means 36,500 times you've said to somebody, you know what you should do. And you know how many people listen to you? Not one person. So, you know what you should do? Well, it's the only thing you should do. So usually we wait until we're really upset and then we pounce on them. And do you ever notice that when you talk to your, well, you know, I want to tell you real quick. You know those stress reduction techniques that I told you about? They work, but if somebody's yelling and screaming at you, you just can't say, I'm going to close my eyes and concentrate on my breathing. And you have stress everywhere. You have stress at work. You have stress at home. By show of hands, how many of you love your spouse? How many of you love your spouse, but every now and then they get on your nerves just a little bit too much? It's natural. I was doing a program last week, and this one woman said, you're down on marriage. I said, nope, I'm up on truth. Because if you think everything is perfect, aren't you in denial? But if you say, you know what, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, we're not perfect, but like Vince Lombardi said, we strive for excellence, we fall a little bit, that's good enough for us. And we lie to ourselves. How many of you lie to yourselves? That's pretty good. Some of you don't even know you got a problem. You ever buy a paint? You familiar with the law of diminishing returns? You ever buy a painting, you put it up on the wall, one day you come home, you don't like the painting on the wall? Well, the painting didn't change, did it? It's your perception of the painting. And do you ever feel like hanging your spouse up on the wall? If you did, one day you come home, you go, I don't like you anymore. They go, I'm just hanging on the wall. So we should embrace this concept of the law of diminishing returns and be honest with ourselves and say, honey, if I ever had to have diminishing amounts of love for anyone, I am so glad it's with you. Now, you might not want to openly express this, but realize how goofy our brains are. When you first met that object of your desire, you said, isn't that cute what they did? 2 minutes after you're married, you go, you know that little cute thing? Really getting on my nerves. And happily married people, after 40 years, I go, that's just them. Once you realize how the brain works, it changes everything. And do you ever notice that when you talk to your friends about their problems, you sound like Dr. Phil? When it's your own problem, you sound like Ozzy Osbourne. And why do we give advice? Why do human beings give advice? Why? Helpful. Everybody agree? Because we care. We ever do it for ourselves? A little? Prove us to you. You ever give advice and they don't take it? What do? You go, you know, I'm giving you good stuff here. You know, if you don't care, I'm done. Right? They won't make us feel powerful. You know where I learned this from? My little nephew, he's 6 years old. He called me. It's amazing where you pick things up. He called me up. He said, Uncle Joe, give me a call. I got a new cell phone. And he rattled off the numbers. He calls me back 2 days later. He said, why didn't you call me back? I said, if you want somebody to call you back, you leave the numbers in the beginning of the message in case the machine cuts you off. You leave the numbers at the end of the message so you have another crack at it, and you pause between each number. He said, yeah, but your answering machine is just much too long. I said, I want everybody to know that my website is healthhumor.com if they have to get in touch with me. He said, I don't care. They're going to hang up on you. 6 years old. I checked it out. I called him back 2 minutes later. I said, thank you very much. I just shortened the message. You know what he said to me? You see that? You help me, and I help you. That moment, I realized something. People say, when's the best time to talk to your kids about difficult topics? You talk to them when they're very young, but not only that, you take advice from them. Information has to go back and forth. Because if you always give advice, what happens? They shut you up. They shut you down. They're codependent. They resent you. But if you take advice, information goes back and forth. Now my nephew calls me up. He says, Uncle Joe, can we play that game? I said, what game? He says, you know the one where you help me and I help you? It's a beautiful thing. And when you try to talk to your kids, anybody ever try to get their kids to stop smoking cigarettes? Has not worked in this history of humankind, right? Now, anybody here an attorney? What do they always learn in law school? Never ask a question that you don't know the answer to. It's a great way to trick somebody, but not a good way of bonding. You ever see a guy walk on 11 o'clock news, he's walking out of court, he's going to jail for the rest of his life, they walk out like this? Don't you love that? It's like, hey, pal, we've been watching you for the last 6 months. We know exactly who you are. And they go, what'd you think about that prosecuting attorney? Oh, I love the way they asked me questions I didn't know the answer to. Now I'm going to jail for the rest of my life. What you should do in real life, if you want to bond with somebody, is the opposite. You ask questions that neither one of you know the answer to, and together you can solve them. So if somebody at work is late, you go, well, why were you late? Well, if you're accusatory, they're going to lie, right? That's another thing my nephew taught me. He said, you know why kids lie? I said, why? He said, because they don't want to be punished. Adults are the same way, right? You guys ever get stopped by a police officer? Right? And they say, you know why I pulled you over? No, officer, we were wondering why a nice gentleman like you would even stop us. Because you don't want to be punished. But if they weren't going to punish you, you'd be honest, right? You know why I pulled you over? Yes, officer, because I was trying to get to the liquor store before they close. Because I'm smoking pot right now and I want to get that double bang. You know, that bubble. You know, sometimes you just smoke and you drink. It's not really the same. But together, it's unbelievable. And then if the cop said, well, I got some beer in my car. Matter of fact, I know a guy that sells pot down the street. We can actually get that for you. Let me give you a police escort. You'd be so honest. So what happens is whenever we're accusatory with people at work or our own kids, they're going to shut down on us, right? And I used to say, get down to their level. Like if somebody's late, I'd say, get down to their level. But it's not getting down to their level. It's getting down to the human level. Because everybody's screwed up, right? Like somebody might be late, but you might be a slob. So you say, hey, you know what? You're always late. I'm a slob. That's okay. Let's try to figure out together. We can maybe try to fix this. Anybody have spouses where they're sloppy? Or coworkers that are sloppy? And you say, clean your desk, and they say, I will, and they never do. Because they don't know how to do it. Same thing. Why are you late? I don't know, I was just stuck in traffic. You know why they're late? Because I got a pattern of lateness. It's not that there was a traffic jam. It's just there's a pattern of lateness. They got to get out of that. So it's a learning process as opposed to what's wrong with you? Why aren't you paying attention? Now, before I was saying to you, do you ever notice that when you can help your friends, you sound like Dr. Phil, and when you help yourself, you're Ozzy Osbourne? Why is it you can help your friends better than yourself? Hard to change. Yeah, and when you help your friends, you know which part of the brain you're using? The prefrontal cortex. Everybody heard about this? The rich creative section of the brain. The prefrontal cortex is the part of, well, it's not fully developed until, what's the youngest person in this room? Where are the people in their 20s? 20s? How old are you? 25? Is that the youngest? 25 is the youngest? How old are you? 21? I was going to say, I thought 20, but 21. Anybody younger than 25, 21? Anybody else? 25? How old are you? Yeah, how old are you? 15. Wow, 15 is really young. Do you remember birth? Because really it was a few years ago when you think about it. You do remember birth. The prefrontal cortex is not completely developed until 15 years old in New York. Any other state, it's 24, 25. But you're so much more advanced than we are. And you're more relaxed now than you were a few years ago, right? Years ago, somebody would talk, you go, talk to the hand. You didn't do that, did you? Now you go, I can understand your point of view a little bit more. So when we help our friends, we're using the prefrontal cortex. When we try to help ourselves, we use the amygdala, the emotional part of the brain, the fight or flight response. Now information does go back to the prefrontal cortex, but after it's mixed with the venom of the amygdala, then you justify irrational behavior and say, that's why I feel that way. You're still rational. Unfortunately, you haven't realized it. Now, we got to figure out ways to get out of that realm. And one of the things also, you ever try to negotiate with somebody? You're having a heated discussion. Are you facing them or are you side by side? You're facing them, right? Which is the best position to be in when you want to accomplish nothing. Because all you do is start yelling back and forth. What we should do is sit side by side, a little piece of paper in front of us. And remember marriage encounters? Your circle, my circle, our circle. Remember Mr. Potato Head? Take a nose from over here, put over here. You got a nose, ear over there, put over there. So what you do is you sit down next to somebody and say, what do you want to do? And what do I want to do? Oh, look, we agree. Look, this is what we don't agree on. Well, how do we figure that out? Well, this is what I came up with years ago. I was down. Anybody been to the Southwest Southwest Philadelphia, they have the best steak sandwiches. Actually, there's another Southwest in Arizona, Utah. People do this a lot. They say, let's go to the Southwest and commune with nature. We'll see the Grand Canyon, the Pena Desert, and then we'll end up in Las Vegas. I have no idea how that happens. And so you go from what? The world, the nature, to New York City, basically. That's what it is, right? So people do this in 10 days, and they got to negotiate. So I was there with a friend of mine years ago, and she wanted to go to Grand Canyon. I said, I was already there. I said, on a scale from 1 to 10, how bad do you want to go? And you know what she came up with? A 10. Of course, everybody comes up with a 10. I said, all right, good. Then pay up. Use your 10. You get a 10-pointer right there. Once the numbers equal 10, that person has to go. So we went to the Grand Canyon. She used her 10 points. Then she wanted to go to the Pena Desert. Did you ever go to Pena Desert? It's right next to the Grand Canyon. How bad do you want to go? She said, I want to go a 9. Then she wanted to go to Colorado. She wanted to see the Olympic Training Center. I said, how bad do you want to go? She said, a 10, but I'm out of 10s, I'm out of 9s, I'm out of 8s, I'm out of 7s, I got a 6. I said, I really don't want to go. I'm going to use a 2 card. So 6 plus 2 equals 8. We don't go. See how it works? Or at work, say you want to use playing cards. All right, you got ace. Use an ace at the top. Ace, king, queen, jack, 10. Right? You go, okay, who wants off this day? I want off. And everybody gets a deck of cards, maybe just one suit. How badly you want to go? I'm going to use my king. Okay, use your king. You don't want to use your ace? No, the other person says, I'll use my ace because I really want to go. Good, you don't have an ace anymore. See how that works? Or you can use Monopoly money. Or you can use real money. Can you imagine that? Honey, I got a vacation day. What it cost you? $5,000, but I'm off. Oh boy, I'm in competition with a certified dermatologist in the workshop room. Do you want to talk about relationships? By show of hands, how many of you are single? How many of you are married? How many of you are single and wish you were married? How many of you are married and wish you were single? How many of you are married, wish you were single, but really like the house you're living in right now, and you don't want to raise your hands? You ever notice that every decade of your life you look for different characteristics in that special someone? In your 20s, what'd you look for? Fun in your 20s. What'd you look for in your 30s? Fun. All right, I know you look for fun in your 40s. Rester, what'd you look for in your 40s? Stability. Mental? Oh, money? Most people don't say that at 50, but you jump right in with the money. That's pretty good. What do you look for in your 60s? Health. What do you look for in your 70s? Breathing. I can imagine you single in your 70s. The night before you go to a singles club, you take a CPR class. Next day you go, I got a live one here. I was 8 years old. My mom said to my dad, Uncle Benny always gets the women. Uncle Benny was 96 years old. Mom said, that's because Uncle Benny's got a really good walk. I'm 8 years old. I started walking like my Uncle Benny. I got to be 16 years old. I said to a friend of mine, how come I can't get a date? She says, because you walk like an old man. Uncle Benny was great. He got married at 90 years old. He's on his honeymoon night. He's in the bathroom for an hour and a half. His wife starts yelling at him. She said, what are you doing in the bathroom so long? He said, I'm brushing my teeth. And yours too. Uncle Benny was great. He's dating till the end. I'm dating now. I'm on the internet. On the internet, I'm 6'4". What's so funny about that? People lying in it. Did you know this woman last month? She told me she was a plastic surgeon. She restored Tupperware. And she was overly excited. You ever meet anybody like this? I introduced her to my friend. She said, we have so much chemistry. We have so much. Yeah, we had chemistry. She was on Prozac. I was on Viagra. And we almost got married. And last minute she said, I can't marry you. I don't want to gain weight. Well, she read an article. Found that married women are heavier than single women. She had a theory. So when a single woman comes home, she goes to the refrigerator. Realizes there's nothing she likes and she goes to bed. So when a married woman comes home, she goes to bed. Realizes there's nothing she likes and she goes to the refrigerator. Yeah, guys, the women get a kick out a little bit more than we do, I think. But relationships are just so good for you. They found that when you're in a good relationship, interleukin-6, which is responsible for inflammation of your joints and your arteries, actually goes down. They found that wounds heal a lot quicker when you're in a good relationship. So if you've had a wound that's been lingering for just a little too long, just say to your spouse, you know, if you treated me better, this wound would have healed months ago. I said that last week, and a woman said if he treated me better, he wouldn't have the wound. She was great. Another way to reduce stress is to laugh. And by show of hands, how many of you like to laugh? How many of you laugh a lot? If you're not a big laugher, you want to start out slow. Because if you never laugh and you go to see, say, Jerry Seinfeld, you could theoretically pull a facial muscle. And if you never even smile, start out very slowly. Maybe start out watching Newt Gingrich. Work your way up to Rush Limbaugh. When you want to become a big laugher, you can watch Rush tell people not to take drugs while he's crushing OxyContin. There are actually 3 stages to a joke. Can I say the word sex here? You're looking at me like, what took you so long? The first stage is the anticipatory stage. That's the stage you're in right now. You're thinking, this better be good, pal. If it's not, I got a lot of good ideas up here. I don't need your thoughts. Then there's the arousal stage. Ooh, this could possibly be funny. The muscles contract, you laugh, you release this tension, you feel so loose and relaxed. That's why a lot of times you go to a comedy club, if the comedian doesn't make you laugh, if he never gets to a story climax, he's like a humor teaser. That's why a lot of times people leave a comedy club, they have to go home and make themselves laugh. Laughter and sex are very similar. Woman told me the other day, she said, I like laughter better than sex because after my husband laughs, he doesn't roll over and go to bed. And the great thing about laughter, guys, you can do it over and over again. You're not going to be in a situation where that's funny, I'd like to laugh, but I can't laugh. But if you give me 5 minutes, maybe 10, I might be able to laugh again. You can get away with things with humor. I was speeding to get here tonight, and a police officer pulls me over. She says, you know why I pulled you over? You know why I pulled you over? I'm thinking, good, he doesn't know. He said, you were speeding, and I've been waiting for you all day. I said, officer, I got here as quick as I could. Getting a ticket, I'm enjoying this. People will give you things when you use humor. Did you ever go to Tijuana, Mexico? I walked into one of those little shops. I saw this T-shirt. It said Coca-Cola written in Spanish. I thought this would make a nice gift. But I realized if the shopkeeper knew I wanted the shirt, he would raise the price. He said, can I help you? I said, no, not interested. Not even the Coca-Cola shirt. He said, would you like the Coca-Cola shirt? I said, I only have $3. He said, I'll sell it to you for $5. I only have $3. He said, I'll sell it to you for $4. I only have $3. He said, okay, $3.50. I said, you understand, anything over $3, even $3 and a penny, I can't afford. He said, okay, 2 for $5. I said, you got a deal. He laughed. He gave me the shirts. I walked halfway down the block. I saw a whole pile of them for $1.99. But humor is just so great. Did your doctors ever tell you you don't exhale enough? You inhale, you exhale. Nobody ever comes up to you and says, how you doing? I am so glad to see you. If people talk like that, you'd pop a Tic Tac right in their mouth. But if you talk like that, you'd exhale the stagnant air trapped in your lungs, and doctors feel this might be responsible for us developing upper respiratory infections. So what I'd like you to do right now is exhale that stagnant air out. Just go, huh. 3 times, go, huh, huh, huh. 8 seconds, ready, go. This is great. You're just blowing the stagnant air into the person in front of you. That's fantastic. They also found out that when you laugh, you secrete a chemical called salivary immunoglobulin A. I'll break it down for you. Salivary is your saliva. Immune is your immune system. Globulin A, it's a chemical found in your spit. When you laugh, you secrete this chemical, and it decreases your risk of developing upper respiratory infections. It's a theory. I like the word theory because if they're wrong, I go, it's only a theory. I have my own theory. I'm almost 100% sure it's correct. If you laugh at the appropriate time, it will prevent you from becoming a crime victim. Because if you're in the New York subway, somebody comes up to you and says, give me your money. You just start breaking out in laughter, they will leave you alone. I also found out a while ago, they said, when you're stressed, you secrete cortisol, which shrinks the hippocampus, which is part of your brain responsible for you storing long-term memory. Well, when you laugh, you no longer secrete cortisol. The hippocampus goes back to its regular size, and you can remember. So next time you're walking around, you forget something, just start breaking out in laughter. Just start walking around going, what are you laughing at? I have no idea. And then it should work. Let me know if it works. I've never tried it, but in theory. Then I heard this a while ago. They said when you're stressed, blow bubbles. I thought this doesn't work, but it really does, because you inhale and you exhale. And the great thing about this is, after a while, people will associate your bad mood with blowing bubbles. Hey, man, where's Cindy? Oh, don't mess around with Cindy. She's blowing bubbles. There's also a bundle of nerves called the corpus callosum that separates the left and right hemispheres of the brain. In a woman, information goes back and forth, and a guy gets stuck in one area. But women can do 2 things at the same time. That's why a lot of times you're driving down the street, you see a woman stuck in front of you with a traffic jam, see she's blow-drying her hair, shaving under arms or legs. Women can do many things at one time. Guys must focus on one thing at a time. But guys, when you laugh, you become more like a woman. You can use both sides of your brain and think a lot clearer. You also remember jokes, but you forget directions. If somebody said to you, go out here and make a left and a right, you'd forget. But if somebody said that these 2 guys walked out of a bar, they made a left and a right, you remember. Just reminds me of this old joke. One guy says to another guy, these 2 Jews, and the other guy says, why does it always have to be the Jews? Why can't it be the Italian, the Polish? Why don't you pick on the Chinese for a change? He said, okay, these 2 Chinese walk into a synagogue. Thought I was going to insult everybody there, didn't you? But you got to joke because people are miserable. Anybody know anybody that's miserable? Anybody marry anybody that's... I got a buddy of mine never gets along with his wife. The other day, sitting home reading the newspaper, watching television, his wife came up behind him, hit him in the back of the head with a pot. He said, what'd you do that for? She said, who is Cynthia? He said, that's the name of the horse I bet in a 6 race. Next day, he's sitting home reading the newspaper, watching television. His wife came up behind him, hit him in the back of the head with a frying pan. He said, what'd you do that for? She said, your horse is on the phone. People are miserable. And you guys have an Acme supermarket around here? What's your store? What's your supermarket? I was at Stop and Shop the other day. And I got done paying, and I said to the cashier, I said, thank you. Thank you. I said, aren't you going to say thank you back? And she says to me, it's on your receipt. And you guys have bosses? You like your bosses, right? Say yes. I'm talking about the one 10 years ago nobody knows anymore. Do you ever have that boss that says, nobody around here has to like me. As long as they do their job, it's all that counts. You know that doesn't work because you can't look over your shoulder and down at your work at the same time. And did you ever see the Fiddler on the Roof? I saw a parody on that movie, and they asked the fiddler, how are you such a good fiddler? You know what he said? I'm not scared about falling off the roof. If I was, I'd have to hang on with one hand, fiddle with the other. I'm not scared. I fiddle away. People are scared to do their jobs anymore. You guys have Wells Fargo Bank around here? I walked into Wells Fargo Bank the other day to make a deposit, and the teller says to me, do you have ID? I said, I'm here to make a deposit. He said, I need ID. I said, to make a deposit? I said, listen, pal, if somebody comes in here and tries to deposit money in my account, I don't care who they are. You let them. And you can't get people on the phone anymore. Did you ever try to get Comcast or Verizon on the phone? Oh, if you want service, press 1. Sales, press 2. If you want to talk to somebody, press 3. So I press 3. If you want to talk about your bill, press 1. Talk about your service, press 2. If you're annoyed, press 3. So I press 3. If you're annoyed about your bill, press 1. Annoyed about your service, press 2. And after 45 minutes, they said, if you'd like to complete your call, press 4. So I pressed 4. They hung up on me. And did you ever hear somebody say you should learn to use humor in your life? But nobody tells you how to do it. I was doing a program for the Psychological Association. He said, oh, yeah, we tell our patients to use humor all the time. Did you ever tell them how to use humor? Oh, no, we don't know how to do that. It's good. Tell people strung out on Prozac to use humor. You don't tell them how to do it. You're going to drive them crazy. Simple technique. Comedians do this all the time. Find 2 things incompatible, 2 things that don't make sense. There's got to be something funny there. You guys have a dollar store around here? I walked into the dollar store the other day here. Price check. Price check. Guy yells back, it's $1. So I'm talking to the kid behind the counter. I said, how you like working here? I'm pretty good. Get minimum wage health insurance. I get 10% off. Something costs you $1, only costs me 90 cents. I said, what do you want to do when you leave here? Don't tell anybody. I'm going to open up a 99-cent store. You got to joke. And you can't patronize people. Did you ever hear people say age is just a number? Age is a number. You know, I just turned 50 years old 9 years ago. I was walking out of this building. It said, so you're 50? Don't forget to get your colorectal exam. That's a nice birthday gift I had to look forward to. But people say age is just a number. Yeah, if it's just a number, then how come the other numbers don't need a colorectal exam? And you got to hang out with funny people. My little nephew's a funny guy. I went to get glasses the other day. Anybody get eyeglasses? And the optician said, may I recommend silver glasses? I said, the last time I was here, the optician recommended tan glasses. She said, the last time you were here, you had tan hair. Now you have silver hair. I recommend silver glasses. A little 6-year-old nephew said, don't listen to her. Get tan glasses. Another few years, you'll be bald. It'll match your scalp. And you guys are learning a lot from everybody today. But don't just take information you learned today. Just even if you're watching cartoons with the kids, there's information everywhere. Driving down the street, there's information everywhere. And just stretch your mind. Even if it doesn't work, just try. I was going out with this one woman years ago. I was 21. She was 17. Okay, that doesn't sound good. I was 31, she was 27. We're still friends. She lives in Pittsburgh, I'm in Philadelphia. And we talk on the phone. She called me up. She said, I'm gaining weight. I can't stop eating. What should I do? I said, I can't tell you to stop eating. That's obviously a problem. She said, tell you what, you can eat as much as you want as long as you eat it in front of a mirror naked. Well, I talked to her the other day. I said, how's it coming? She said, I haven't lost any weight, but my family hasn't eaten in 3 days. Doesn't always work, but you got to try. And my little nephew wanted to come over. My sister said, he's a slob. He'll ruin your house. I said, he'll be fine. She was right. Railroad tracks all over the living room. And I didn't want to yell at him. So I called him on his cell phone because every 6-year-old has one, because you never know when your friends will need you for a play date. I said, is this Saks Construction and Clearing? He says, yes, sir, we're the best in the business. I said, I got railroad tracks all over the living room. Can you bring them in the basement? Yes, sir, we'll get ready. He was loving this. I called up my sister. I said, you'll never have any problems with your son again. So she tried it. Railroad tracks all over the living room. Is this Saks Construction and Clearing? Yes, ma'am, we're out of business. Doesn't always work, but you got to try. And you know, you ever meet these people, they go, I'm too sophisticated to laugh? You know what they found out? When you don't get a joke, there's a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex that is not completely developed. That's right, if you don't get a joke, theoretically, you could have brain damage. I should have mentioned that about a half an hour ago. I love truth. You don't see truth anymore. You ever see people walking around, look at me, I'm so great? Nobody's that great. By show of hands, how many of you are screwed up? My kind of people. Yeah, and one of my favorite people has got to be this rabbi. He's so honest. He said, for 80 years of my life, all I wanted to do was try ham. But I knew if a member of my congregation ever found out, I would lose the respect of the community. He said, so last year he flew to Hawaii, not a Jew in sight, ordered the biggest pig with the apple in its mouth. He said, at that moment, a member of his congregation sat right down next to him. He was a quick thinker. He said, isn't this an amazing restaurant? I order an apple, and look at the garnish they give me. You got to love the honesty. And you ever hear people say, oh, you can't use humor in certain situations? Well, if done appropriately, you can. I was at a funeral parlor 4 years ago. This woman passed away. The pallbearers lift up the casket. They're about to bring her to the door. By accident, they hit the wall. They looked inside. It was a miracle. She was still alive. Unfortunately, a year later, she got sick, passed away. We're in the same funeral parlor. Pallbearers lift up the casket. They're about to bring her to the door. The husband yells, watch out for the wall.